Jai Hind, dear students. In the previous class, we have discussed about the Bohr's model of atom. I hope it was clear to you. So, with the Bohr's model of atom, we are completing the topic discussion of the additional topic, that is the some basic concepts of chemistry. So, today we are going to discuss the question answers which are related to the topic which has been discussed in some basic concepts of chemistry. So this is your assignment part which you are supposed to write in your fair notebook. So the question number 1 is saying what is matter and name the different states of matter. So here you will write the answer as matter is something which has some mass and occupies some space is called as a matter. For example, air, table, chair, or any of the other example which you can give here is will be the matter. The three different states of matter will be solid, liquid, and the gases. This is your question number 1, which you will be writing the answer as I have discussed here. The question number 2 says define an element. Now, if you all recall whatever I have discussed, element is a pure substance which contains only one type of atom. So, if I talk about the example here, sodium, potassium, magnesium, oxygen, all these are the different variety of elements. So, you can always refer to the content which I have sent for the definition of element, or you can write it down in your own words as well. Third question is define the two types of mixtures and give examples of each. So here the two types of mixtures are homogeneous mixtures and the heterogeneous mixtures. If you just have to write the name of the mixture and then you have to define it. So homogeneous mixtures are those mixtures in which the composition is uniform. There is a uniformity in the composition of the mixture. It is called as homogeneous. Whereas if there is no uniformity or the given mixture is not uniform, in that case it will be the heterogeneous mixtures. Now, as far as example is concerned, for homogeneous you can give the example salt solution or the sugar solution, whereas in the case of heterogeneous mixtures you can write the example of chalk powder and water, you can write on sand and water. There can be some other examples if you wish to take them, you can write the other examples too. Now state the difference between an element and the compound. So you can write down the answer as it is given over here. This is the element where you find only one kind of atoms are present, whereas in the compounds there are presence of two or more different types of elements which combine and form the compound. So here there will be presence of only single kind of atom and there will be two or more than two kind of atoms will be present. So you can frame out this question answer in your own words and you can write the same as well. Question number 5 says what are the different types of mixtures? Again, it is the same question as like question number 3. Here you just have to write down the names, that is homogeneous mixtures and heterogeneous mixtures. Question number 6 is write symbol, atomic number and atomic weight of the following elements. If we will go through the name of the element here, you have to fill up these three columns. That is nitrogen, symbol is N. For sulfur, symbol is capital S. For calcium, it is capital Ca, that is Ca. Beryllium is Be, capital B, small b. Nitrogen's atomic number is 7. Sulfur's atomic number is 16. For calcium, it is 20. And for beryllium, it is 4. Similarly, if you talk about the atomic weight, you will find nitrogen has the atomic weight of 14. Sulfur has the atomic weight of 32, whereas calcium has the atomic weight of 40 and the beryllium has the atomic weight of 7. So you will have to fill up this data according to the given question. Now, let's see question number 7. Here question number 7 is saying find the number of proton in an atom X whose atomic number is 15 and atomic weight is 33. So if you all recall the concepts which I have dealt previously, the atomic number is the number of protons or the electrons present in a neutral atom. So since the atomic number is 15, so the number of protons and electrons both in this case will be 15. So the correct option for question number 7 is option B, that is 15 here. Now, question number 8 is asking, name the element whose atomic number is 3 and atomic weight is 7. So, if you all remember, while discussing about the elements and the different elements having atomic number starting from 1 till 20, I have asked you all to just remember it. So, if you would remember that the atomic number of the element which is a 3 number, and it is lithium. Lithium is the element which has the atomic number of 3 and atomic weight of 7. Question number 9. The maximum number of electrons in M shell is. This is again based upon the Bohr's model of atom. So if you are able to recall the Bohr's model of atom, you will be able to understand how it is going to happen. This is what can give your question's answer. The K shell, that is the first energy level, can contain 2 electrons, the second can contain 8, the M shell can contain 18 electrons, and N can contain 32 electrons. So now the question is asking the number of electrons in M shell. So I hope by now you will be able to answer. The M shell is the third shell, starts from K, second is L, and the M is the third one. So the number of electrons in the third shell is 18. So the option number B, 18, is correct here. Question number 10. Magnesium has atomic weight 24 and 12 protons in its nucleus. How many neutrons does it have? So if you remember, atomic weight is equals to number of protons plus number of neutrons. So if you just subtract the number of protons from its atomic weight, you will get the number of neutrons, and that is 24 minus 12 is equals to 12. So the option number B is correct here for magnesium. That means it has 12 neutrons, 12 protons, and 12 electrons as well. Question number 11. If an atomic nucleus has 11 protons and 12 neutrons, what is the number of electrons in that atom? Now, since the number of proton is 11, it is quite clear that the number of electrons will also be 11. So the correct answer for question number 11 is option A, and the answer is 11. Now let's see question number 12. If an atom of aluminium is represented by this way, find its number of electrons, protons, and neutrons. So just let me recall that this is how we represent any atom or the element, where the lower number is representing its atomic number and the upper number is representing its atomic mass. So the lower number when it is representing atomic number, and we already know that the atomic number is equals to number of protons or number of electrons in that neutral atom. So it's very clear that in aluminium the number of electrons will be 13 and the number of protons will also be 13. So once we get to know the number of electrons and protons, and we already know the atomic mass, we can always subtract this number and we will get 27 minus 13 is equals to number of protons, and that is equals to 14. So here you will find the option D, that electron is equals to 13, proton is equals to 13, and neutron is equals to 14. So the correct option is the D one for question number 12. Okay, question number 13. What does the chemical equation represent, and the two types of chemical equations you have to name? So the chemical equation represent the reactants and the products, which means what are the substances which are reacting with each other and what are the new substances which are formed. That is represented with the help of a chemical equation. The two types of chemical equation can be word equation and the symbol equation. So you just have to write down the name of these two. Right. Let's see question number 14. What does these symbols represent in a chemical equation? An upward arrow represents evolution of a gas. The downward arrow represents the formation of a precipitate. AQ represents the aqueous solution and this L represents the liquid state. I hope you all remember, and if you are not able to recall, you can go through the content what we have discussed previously. Question number 15. Write the symbol equation for the following word equation. Now you just have to write down the symbol of all these things what have been mentioned in the reactant and the product side and make the arrow as the way it has been given. So for sodium the symbol is Na, that is capital N small a. For water, I hope you all know, you will write H2O is the formula, capital H, and 2 as subscript and capital O. Then sodium is solid, so in bracket you will write small s, and for water you will write small l. Then you will make an arrow and write down the formula of sodium hydroxide, and that is NaOH, capital N, small a, capital O, capital H. This is how we represent sodium hydroxide, and in bracket you will write AQ, which represents aqueous form, and plus hydrogen gas, which you will write as H2 and make an upward arrow like this because there is an evolution of gas towards the product side. Second one is potassium hydroxide aqueous form. So the potassium hydroxide's formula is KOH, capital K, capital O, capital H, plus hydrochloric acid in aqueous form you will write HCl, capital H, capital C, small l, and then in bracket AQ. Make an arrow and make the product potassium chloride, which is KCl, capital K, capital C, small n, and in bracket AQ, which represents aqueous, and plus water, which is H2O in bracket L. So if you have to convert a word equation into symbol equation, you just have to write either its symbol or its formula for its representation. Same ways, just the reverse of the same is the next question, that is write the word equation for the following symbol. Here K is representing the potassium, in bracket we will write solid, plus this is oxygen, O2 gas, in bracket it is gas, then make an arrow and write potassium oxide, and then in bracket you will write solid. In the second one, Zn is the symbol of zinc, in bracket you will write solid, plus HCl is your hydrochloric acid. Here you can see it is hydrochloric acid, and in bracket you will write aqueous. Then you will make an arrow and write down ZnCl2 is zinc chloride, and in bracket you will have to write solid, plus H2 gas, that is hydrogen gas, as the way it has been written here. So this is how you have to convert word equation into symbol equation, or the symbol equation into the word equation. Now there is a new variety of question for you all, where you have to see that there is a statement called as assertion given, and for that particular statement there is a reason. So we have to see whether what the statement is saying and what is its reason given, and according to that you have to select out of these 5 options whichever you find to be the most appropriate. Let's see the question number 17 first. In helium, number of protons, electrons and neutrons is equals to 2. So as you all know, the helium has the atomic number of 2 and atomic mass of 4. So it has the number of protons which is equals to 2. Electrons are also 2 and neutrons are also 2. So the first statement is correct. Reason is number of protons and neutrons may or may not be same. So we find that the first statement is correct. It is true, but this is also true. Number of protons and neutrons may or may not be same, but this is not giving the correct reason of the first statement. So as per that, we can take this. Both A and R are true, but R is not the correct explanation of A. So you will require practice for doing all these kind of questions so that you are able to understand. Let's see one more example of the same. Here it is saying assertion. The statement is saying a chemical equation link together the substance which react with the new substances that are formed. I think everyone here is able to understand and tell me that this is the very correct statement which has been given. The second is saying the number of atoms on both the sides of a equation should be equal. So as we all know, the number of atoms, any of the atom, the mass of an atom or any of the substance cannot be created nor be destroyed. It will only be converted from one substance to another substance. So this other statement is also correct. But do you find that this is the correct explanation of the same statement what has been given above as assertion? No, they both are correct, but the reason is not the correct explanation of the assertion which has been given. So we will again choose the same option as we did in the previous question. Both A and R are true, but R is not the correct explanation of A. So this is all about the assignment what we are supposed to do here. So you just have to go through all the questions thoroughly. Please try to do it on your own once again. And in case you are not able to do, just try to go through the whole content once again so that you are able to solve all the questions, because all these questions are completely related to the topic what we have discussed in the different classes related to the same. So this is all about some basic concepts of chemistry. That's all for today. Thank you.